For the first time, I had moved 3,500 miles away from my parents. I had my own apartment. I had my first car loan. I had job security. And for the first time, I had discovered what chosen family truly meant. I had the best friends you could possibly imagine, Drew and Juan. We did everything together. And so my life was ordinary. And to be honest with you, I think at that time politics felt really far away. Like it was somebody else's job, someone else's obligation. There was no more ordinary day than June 11th of 2016. It was a Saturday, which meant it was laundry day. And I was there washing my underwear while my best friends were off taking cute selfies at SeaWorld, when we decided to do the most ordinary of things, which was to go get a drink with each other. And so, just like we ordinarily did, we met at my apartment, we had drinks, we put on our ordinary soundtrack, and we piled into our ordinary rideshare. And we chose the club that was closest, Pulse Nightclub. So, we arrived. There it was, the ordinary line outside, complete with the ordinary scowling drag queen at the front door who always took my $5. We went to the same bartender we always went to. We ordered the same drinks we always ordered. And in true ordinary fashion, we would go out onto the patio and Drew, with his long arms, would drape them over your shoulder, channel his master's degree in clinical psychology, and give you a free therapy session. So he did just that. And with his arm around my shoulder, he talked about love. He talked about community and our obligation to put the small things aside to see each other as people first. And he said, you know what we don't do enough, Brandon? We don't tell people that we love them. And then, in an instant, the ordinary became extraordinary. I was washing my hands at a bathroom sink when I heard gunshots. I remember the panic. I remember the fear. I remember the dozen or so people that crowded into the bathroom with me, wondering if we would ever make it out. I remember the debate between hiding or running for our lives and the decision that we should just try. I remember locking arms with these strangers and running, hoping to find a door open, praying that I would just get to say goodbye to my parents one more time. I made it out of that door. It was the luckiest day of my life. But the heartbreaking part of that story is that in real, ordinary fashion, Drew and Juan were standing right in the middle of the dance floor, wrapped in each other's arms, underneath a disco ball, when that man charged in and killed 49 people, including the two of them. I'll be really honest with you, I was afraid in the aftermath of Pulse. Afraid of birthday parties without my sidekicks. Afraid of my wedding day without best men. And I was really afraid of a country where our safest spaces weren't safe anymore. And I tell you that because I feel that fear today. The fear of 4 more years of this president is real. I can feel it everywhere I go, and I think it's because we understand that everything hangs in the balance right now. So let's just say something about that elephant in the room right now. Donald Trump is an unmitigated disaster, and he needs to lose his job. But because I feel like we're already friends, I'm going to ask you to do something for a second. I am going to ask you to dare yourself to imagine what happens next. Dare yourself to imagine Inauguration Day 2021. Dare yourself to imagine an America where immigrant children are welcomed with open arms, not cages. Dare yourself to imagine an America where healthcare is a human right, not resigning you to bankruptcy. Dare yourself to imagine an America where young people are sent to school every day to learn, not to practice active shooter drills. And just for fun, I want you to dare yourself to imagine the most capable woman sitting behind the desk in the Oval Office. I'm standing here right now because I dared myself to believe in Elizabeth Warren's America. An America that was unashamed of our hope for a better future. An America that was proud and courageous, not discouraged and cynical. But if we are going to be the country of our wildest imaginations, we're going to need a strong leader. A leader who asks us to just dream a little bigger. A leader who asks us to fight for it a little harder. A leader who is absolutely 100% committed to winning for each and every one of us. Well, I'm really excited to tell you I know someone with a plan for that. And that is why it is my distinct honor and huge pleasure to introduce to you my friend and the next President of the United States of America, Elizabeth Warren.
One more time for Brandon and the incredible work that he's been doing. And also, just a big shout out to the moms who demand action, who have changed Nevada and going to change America. I also want to say a very special thank you to Lisa, who started us on welcoming everyone. It is our 1-year anniversary. Where are you, Lisa? Here she is. Lisa and I were first together here in Nevada when I came here exactly a year ago today to start this fight in Nevada. I want to thank you all for being here today. You can tell I'm a little husky. I'm shaking off a cold, and I'm going to try to do my best to save my voice. And then I saw my mother down at the foot of the bed, and she was pacing. She had her slip on and her stockings, and she was pacing and had her head down, and she kept saying over and over, "We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house." She was 50 years old. She had never worked outside the home, and she was terrified. And finally she looked up and she saw me standing in the doorway. I'm just a kid. And she didn't say anything. She looked at me, and she looked at that dress, and she looked back at me, and she walked over, picked it up, wrestled it on, put on her high heels, and walked to the Sears Roebuck, where she got a minimum wage job answering phones, a minimum wage job that saved our house and it saved our family. And I always think of that as the lesson I learned from my mother, that no matter how hard it is, and no matter how frightened you may be, when it comes down to it, you reach down deep, you find what you have to find, you pull it up, and you take care of the people you love. That's what we do. It was only years after that came to understand that story is a story about government. Because when I was a girl, a minimum wage job in America would support a family of 3. It would pay the mortgage, it would cover the utilities, and it would put groceries on the table. Today, a minimum wage job in America, full-time minimum wage job, will not keep a mama and a baby out of poverty. That is wrong, and that is why I am in this fight. And that difference is not a difference of accident. It is not a difference of surprise. It is a deliberate difference based on who government works for. Because when I was a girl, the question asked in Washington when setting the minimum wage is, what does it take a family of 3 to survive in America? What does it take a family of 3 to get a foothold in America's middle class? What does it take a family of 3 to have something solid that they can build on? Today, the question asked in our government in Washington is, where do we set the minimum wage to maximize the profits of giant multinational corporations? Well, I don't want a government that works for giant multinational corporations. I want one that works for our families. The whole story of why I am in this fight. I want a government that works not just for the wealthy, not just for the big corporations, not just for the NRA. I want a government that works for us, and that's why I'm here, and that's what I'm doing. Let's do some questions, and we'll get to talk, I hope, about a lot of plans and whatever else people want to ask about and talk about. Hi.
Hi, my name's Scott.
Hi, Scott.
My question would be on the wealth tax.
You bet. I'm ready.
There are some Republicans that aren't too happy with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. How do you think you'll get both Republicans and Democrats on board when you're elected president?
Okay, so I love this question. I love the way you ended it. Let's make sure everybody's up to speed. It is time for a wealth tax in America. Now, let me just explain it to anybody who hasn't already heard about it. The basic idea is a 2-cent tax on the great fortunes in this country. So your first 50 million is free and clear. I see, yeah, exactly. This woman is not unreasonable. But on your 50 millionth and first dollar, you got to pitch in 2 cents. And 2 cents on every dollar. After that, you hit $1 billion, you got to pitch in a couple of pennies more. That's the basic idea. Anybody in here own a home or grew up in a family that owned a home? Yeah, you all paid wealth tax. You still are. It's just called a property tax. And the only difference here is I'm saying that for the billionaires and the millionaires, the property tax shouldn't just include the real estate. It should also include the stock portfolio, the diamonds, the Rembrandt, the yacht. That's important. Now, as Scott rightly says, there are some people who don't like this. Actually, let's be more specific. There are some billionaires who don't like this. Some have gone on TV and cried. Others have run for president. Maybe they thought it was cheaper than a wealth tax. But their basic argument is, look, I had a great idea, I followed it through, I worked hard, and I said, good for you. You did, and that's great. Good for you. You're a success, that's great, but understand this. You built a great fortune here in America. You built it at least in part using workers all of us help pay to educate. You built it at least in part getting your goods to market on roads and bridges, all of us help pay for. You built it at least in part protected by police and firefighters, all of us help pay the salaries. And here's the thing. We're glad to do it. We're We're Americans. We want to invest in the things that help create opportunity. All we're saying is when you make it big, I mean really big, I mean top 0.1% big, pitch in 2 cents so everybody else gets a chance to make it. Because what can we do with 2 cents? It's enough to help us restructure this economy. 2 cents from the top folks. Let me just tell you quick what we can do. We can do, I want to see one, universal child care for every baby in this country. Universal pre-K for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old in America. And we can stop exploiting the people, largely black and brown women who do this work and can raise the wages of every child care worker. We can do all of that for our babies, plus we can put $800 billion of new money into our public schools. Quadruple funding for Title I schools. Let's give everybody And coming from a former special education teacher, you'll appreciate this. We can fully fund IDEA. Every child with a disability will have the full education. So we can do all of that for K-12. Plus, we can provide tuition-free technical school, 2-year college, 4-year college for everybody who wants an education. We're a good place for that. We can help level the playing field and put $50 billion of new money into our historically black colleges and universities. And I'm not through yet. We can do all of that for 2 cents plus. We can cancel student loan debt for $43 billion. So Scott says, how are you going to get this done? So here's the interesting thing, Scott. Democrats like this. Independents like this, and here comes the best part. A majority of Republicans like this. Yeah, so here's my plan, is to say, in a democracy, when there are what, 406 billionaires, that's it? Okay? That they are not the ones who should be calling the shots on what passes in Congress. That just because you can make big campaign contributions and hire lots of lobbyists, that your voice shouldn't be any louder than anyone else's in a democracy. So my plan is first, I'm going to pass my anti-corruption bill, right, to reduce the influence of power in Washington. And then we're going to do this one together. I'm going to lead from the White House. I'm going to ask all of you to keep pushing from the outside. We're going to make this Congress responsive to the American people. We're going to get a welcome. We're going to do it, Scott. I think a billionaire just turned out my lights. Yes, nevertheless, I persist. We got? Can I pitch my universal child care proposal? Okay.
I'm Brett. This is Margot.
Hi, Brett. Hi, Margot. Margot's ready.
She's ready. Margot's dad and I are both attorneys, so we are lucky to be professionals, but it also means that we're drowning in student loan debt.
Yes.
With the high cost of childcare and student loan payments and housing and healthcare and everything else that goes in, although we're fortunate, it's so hard to save for our future.
Yeah.
Why have your plans eliminated any sort of relief for student loans or childcare above a certain income?
Oh, so it doesn't. Child care is going to be there for everybody. There's a little bit of a payment for families that have high incomes, but it's a very modest payment. And on student loans, it's complete cancellation up to a certain income level, $250,000 of income, because that kind of looks like you might be able to manage the student loan payments. But also opening up other avenues for people who truly are drowning in student loan debt. For example, changing the bankruptcy laws are important. So I want to make, though, a quick pitch off your question, because I think this is important. Let me just pick child care. We have a problem in America. We have a lot of problems, but I want to focus on one. And that is trickle-down economics has been a complete disaster for this country. It has hollowed out America's middle class. It has crushed working families, and it has kicked dirt in the faces of the poor. We need an economy that grows from the ground up. Trickle-down was always about help the rich and powerful get richer and more powerful. Give the rich more tax cuts and cut regulations. That's how they get richer and more powerful. And that's how income keeps moving up. New income created in this country keeps moving up to the top. So think about the wealth tax and just child care, just that one. A 2-cent tax on the great fortunes. Think about the great fortunes. They already have their own money managers, their own PR firms, their own everything, right? Accountants, everything. They're already growing at what, 6%, 8%, 10% a year. You ask them just 2% off that, and we invest in child care. Now, why should that matter if you don't have children, or if you don't have grandchildren, or if you don't even like children? It should matter because of the effect on the economy. Putting that money back in your pocket is money that you get to spend with local businesses. It's money you get to spend buying more pizzas. It's money you get to spend buying cars. It's money you get to spend saving up for a home. It's money that helps grow the economy. It's money that helps create demand. It's money that helps support business right here in Henderson. We need an economy that is not a trickle down. We need an economy that's grassroots up, and that's what the wealth tax and that
Hi, Senator. This is the last question.
Oh, okay.
My name is Rhonda,
Hi, Rhonda.
mother of 2.
Yes.
And
Me too.
in regards to economic equality, I know we have the Family Medical Leave Act, but so many companies are not paying for family leave. And as a mother of 2 children, I had to go on family leave, and because of illness issues, I've had to do it. But it's a huge burden on my family and other families when you're not earning pay while you're on family medical leave. What's your view or position on that?
So I got a plan for that. Paid family leave, and it's both for taking care of babies and kids. It's also for when you get sick, and it's also for taking care of elderly family members. So, all the way. If I can, though, I want to say a quick question about the plan. It's a great plan. And I can say that because the origin of the plan is not mine. It's Kirsten Gillibrand's. And it's a part of what I have tried to do in my campaign from the beginning, is to say this is not a competition in the sense of my plans are good and everybody else's plans are bad. It's to say, listen, let's take good plans wherever they come from. And when Kirsten left the race, I called her the next day and said, first, that I was sorry, and second, how would she feel if I brought her paid family leave plan, which is a really good plan, in with my plans, and I give her full credit for it, and lift it up, and she said, let's do it. Kamala Harris said the same thing on a terrific plan on protecting women's reproductive Jay Inslee on climate plans. And my good friend Julian Castro, both on immigration and migration. This is how we build a Democratic Party and a coalition that works for all of us. It's to bring in the good ideas, to respect the good ideas, to bring in people. I now have people from all of those campaigns and more who are part of our staff, who are part of our volunteers, who are a part of this energy that we're going to need as Democrats, because we got a job in November, and that is beat Donald Trump. All of you for being here. I want to say as we close this out, we've now had 3 years of Donald Trump, and I know, but people, a lot of people around this country are afraid. They are afraid for their families, they're afraid for their neighbors, they're afraid for children locked in cages at our border, they're afraid for children in lockdowns in our public schools. They're afraid for women, they're afraid for people of color, they're afraid for LGBTQ people, for trans people, all of whose rights are up for grabs in this Supreme Court. They are afraid for our nation, and they are afraid for our planet. And the danger on all of these is real. So this is the question that comes to you, Nevada. What do you do when people are afraid, when the danger is real? Do we back up? Do we cower? Do we get timid? Or do we fight back? Me, I'm fighting back. I'm in this race to fight back. Yes. Fighting back is an act of patriotism. We fought back against a king to build this country. We fought back against the scourge of slavery to save this union. We fought back against a Great Depression to rebuild this economy. We fought back against the spread of fascism to protect our democracy. America is at its best when it sees a big problem and we fight back. This is no time for small ideas. This is no time to nibble around the edges of big problems. This is the time to see these problems and to provide the big structural change we need to build a better America. So I just want to tell all of you, you probably figured this out. I am not running a campaign that has been designed by a bunch of consultants. I am not running a campaign with proposals that are carefully designed not to offend big donors. I stopped signing a long time ago. I am running a campaign based on a lifetime of fighting for working families. I am running a campaign from the heart because I believe in you. And like Brandon said, I believe in the America we can build together. An America where every person has value, an America where every child is worth investing in, an America where in our democracy, people, not money, is the most important part. And if you believe in that America, and you believe that that America is worth fighting for, then all I'm asking you is get in this fight. Vote for me, Go to ElizabethWarren.com and volunteer an hour to do phones, knock on doors, talk to people in front of you in line at the grocery store, pumping gas next to you. But get in this fight, because understand this, 2020 is the moment in history that we have been called to. The moment that will determine not the next 4 years, not the next 8 years, but generations to come. 2020 is our moment to choose hope over fear. Our moment to show courage. Our moment to dream big, fight hard, and win.
The heartbreaking part of that story is that in real, ordinary fashion, Drew and Juan were standing right in the middle of the dance floor, wrapped in each other's arms, underneath a disco ball, when that man charged in and killed 49 people, including the two of them. I'll be really honest with you, I was afraid in the aftermath of Pulse. Afraid of birthday parties without my sidekicks. Afraid of my wedding day without best men. And I was really afraid of a country where our safest spaces weren't safe anymore. And I tell you that because I feel that fear today. The fear of 4 more years of this president is real. I can feel it everywhere I go, and I think it's because we understand that everything hangs in the balance right now. So let's just say something about that elephant in the room right now. Donald Trump is an unmitigated disaster, and he needs to lose his job.